Hello everyone, welcome to this assembling and basing session. Have you started assembling your Cities of Sigmar army? Well, in this video I'll put together two Freeguild Steelhelms Battle Priests for my Cities of Sigmar army. So that the two models are clearly distinctive, I'll use different components to assemble them. I'll also be making custom bases with epoxy putty and decorative elements. Alright, since I've already made exhaustive videos on how to prepare and assemble plastic models, I'll briefly show you the parts I selected to assemble my two battle priests. I'm assembling the first one with the club suggested in the booklet. However, I'll give him the anvil-shaped reliquary and a head different than the one proposed. I'm gonna be a little more creative in assembling the second battle priest. Instead of the club, I'll arm this one with a mace, a different body than the one proposed, and I'll give him the reliquary containing the broken sword artifact. I like the martyr appearance that the tattered clothes give him. As you may have guessed, I converted the arm to keep the ragged clothes of the priest. The arm holding the reliquary could just as easily be converted to create an armored priest. Now I wish to create bases that will depict the hostile environment of action. Like its name suggests, the Great Parsh is a harsh place, with arid, cracked soil and sparse vegetation blasted by hot, angry winds. To clearly illustrate this on my bases, but also imbue them with a sense of civilization, I first thought of using 3D printed bases, but I prefer to get creative and use a more artistic approach. So in my example, I'll use epoxy putties and a textured rolling pin. First, I'm gonna use the very famous green stuff. For the second base, I'll use milliput terracotta. This will allow me to check the malleability, curing time and hardness of the two materials. Here's my 3 steps process for texturing the bases, using a textured rolling pin. First, I mix the putty for about a minute to ensure optimal hardness after curing. Follow the manufacturer's recommendation for each type of putty you're using. I made myself a spacer to use as a guide to ensure that the roller sinks uniformly in the putty. Make sure the base is dry when you apply the putty to it. It will then stick in place as it hardens. In second, we can moisten the putty to make it more flexible. If need be, use additional water to extend and shape the putty properly around the base outline. And finally, make sure there's enough putty everywhere on the base for the pattern to print well. Keep the surface wet to prevent sticking of the putty on the rolling pin. Soak the rolling pin in water or use talcum powder, cornstarch, or sculpture Vaseline to reduce stickiness. Apply equal pressure on the entire surface and move the rolling pin slowly over the putty for an even texture. Before the putty is completely hard, it's now time to incorporate the other elements onto the base. I will add orc skulls and stones that I'll press into the epoxy. It's important to incorporate these elements before the putty is completely hard. or otherwise they can be glued in place later with super glue. Despite my efforts, I was not able to get the milliput terracotta stick to the base. So another approach would be to make a piece of textured putty, break it up once it's hard, and glue parts of it onto the base. If the putty gets in the engraving of the rolling pin, clean it well after use to avoid losing detail in future uses. Excess putty that overflow around the base can be removed with a craft knife before or after it gets hard. It's recommended to do this once the putty has cured to avoid any deformations of the textures. Cut in a downward motion to prevent the putty from coming off the base. The putty can also be sanded to obtain a smoother finish. To ensure that the figurines are securely anchored to their base, they must be glued with super glue. They can also be pinned in place with a piece of paper clip. Before putting the final touch on the base, the model and their base will be painted. Remember to clean your base before priming them, especially if you're using talcum powder or Vaseline. If ever you need epoxy putties or rolling pins, have a look at Fenris Workshop, link in the description. In the next video of this series, I will paint a battle priest in the same Emerald Action color scheme I used on the two models that I already painted. I'll also complete decorating the base with synthetic plants and grass. Let me know, do you have a different approach to base your models? I'd like to hear from you. Don't hesitate to share your approach or questions in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy modeling and take care.